have a bad track record of harassing the open carrier.
You know, as members of the Nation of Islam, we respect the laws of the land. And so it's clear that the law of the land is open carry, concealed carry, wherever those laws are. We certainly respect them, even though they may be contrary to our practice. This incident or action that you all took last week, they're in the context of a larger issue dealing with perception. Even without Trump in the picture, black people nationally and in this city in particular, and in general, are constantly under siege. Police. Racism is a huge issue. Oppression is a huge issue. So to see a group of white men walking down the street with weapons right through the hood of a community that already is disrespected by the larger white community was offensive to many, and since people didn't understand why you were doing it, it was a provocation. The people who were the most upset, because I got a phone call, and the sisters wanted to know, why are these white people walking through the community with guns like that? Now we're having this dialogue, and it's, and I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate the dialogue. It helps to clear up why you were doing it. But I think that you do need to understand the psyche of the black community and where you are and what you're doing, and be sensitive to the perception. It's a free country, you do what you want. But I know, as Brother Mike said earlier, if black people start walking through white communities with weapons like that, it's not just Wisconsin, even certain areas in Michigan, wherever, it's going to be a problem. People want to know, what the hell are you doing here? We walk through the community without a weapon, and people want to know, what are we doing here? Because they have respect for their community. They want to know what's going on in their community. One of the problems with the black community is that we're so divided and hateful and destructive of self that it's easy for you to do what you're doing, but there still are people that have enough love for the community that they're going to want to know what's going on. And so I'm only saying that just so that you understand the impact of that kind of, you've clarified the intention, and I certainly have I respect that again. We respect the laws, even though we don't agree with them. The violence in the black community, the root of that violence is deep, it's systemic, and it definitely cannot be, the solution is not guns. It may be certain situations where, a gun might get you out of a situation, but at the root of the problem, there's an ignorance, there's a self-hatred, there's social engineering, there's drugs, there's economic disparity, there's miseducation. So, right. And so all of these things contribute to the violence in the community. That just having a gun is not going to resolve. So we go after this problem, and we're invested in the community in a much more spiritual way, in a much more root cause methodology. So our perspective is much broader. That being said, brothers who 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 practice to conceal and carry, we have a lot of respect for what you all are doing. It's not our method, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't work with you all. And let me just give you an example. And this is another thing. See, you look just like the white supremacist white boys that came with weapons. This is just perception, right? That came with weapons in Dallas. They don't like Muslims. They came, the whole group of them, but they were met with conceal and carry.
Open carry.
Open carry, brothers and sisters, way larger group, and ran them on out of there. And so that took place at the same time that you walking down our streets. So these are images, these are perceptions that you just have to be really. I think it would be wise for you to be considerate.
Right. The big difference between what happened in Texas and what happened here, we didn't come and set up in front of a mosque or church or anything like that. We were walking in the community itself. We weren't, trying to get media attention.
They came as a provocation.
Right. Right.
But it was still
the perception. I can understand that. Yes. I mean, walking in New Holstein, town of 3,000 people. People get the F out of our town, and the police officer, I want you to leave our city, and it's probably 99% white neighborhood, and when you boil it all down, it all comes to the individual's right, white, black, Asian, whatever. People need to understand that you have the right to defend yourself. You have the right to carry. And another big part of the open carry is, I got a gun on my hip and I'm in a gas station, and you walk in there intent on robbing the place and you see me with a gun, are you going to still rob the place? Probably not.
I shoot you though. See, it's two different sides
right.
of open carry. That's an argument that's going on for a while.
Most criminals aren't going to escalate to first degree intentional homicide to rob a gas station with a couple $100. Most criminals don't want armed opposition. So that's why I do the open carry. I hope they see that, and I hope they choose not to do what they were planning on doing, so I don't have to draw my gun.
I'd like to pose a scenario, because I saw those pictures, and clearly I had a lot of the perception that a lot of people had. But let's say, for example, because I know you all were in the area of 27th and Burleigh, correct?
I didn't make it down that far, but the rest of the group did.
Okay. I know there's been a lot of violence in that area, particularly with youth. And our young people are not afraid. And so to see a group of men, white men, carrying weapons like that of a high caliber, if something were to have occurred in terms of some type of exchange, provocation, words back and forth, and one of them flashed or drew and ended up shot by your right to defend yourself, I would have a problem with that, even as you were exercising your right. The environment in our community is so fraught with conflict that it's not hard to find somebody carrying a weapon. And even though you might have been within your right in this hypothetical situation, I would hate to have to see, personally, those are our people, even in the condition and the state that they're in mentally. And like you said, get to them before they do something, that's what we do. And the perception of a threat is oftentimes what escalates into real acts of violence. And those images I saw a threat. I'm happy and glad that you came to clarify. I think this is a very good meeting. But no, I immediately thought hostility. And we got enough problems trying to keep ours from shooting each other, much less somebody coming in from outside shooting one of us.
I would say the same thing too. I'm a proponent of open carry, concealed carry, either way. And if I was to see you in a neighborhood like that, my first instinct is going to be you're a threat. So now we got to keep an eye on you, just to make sure. I mean, whether somebody comes up and try to have dialogue with you, that's, you know, that's up to them. But now we got to keep an eye on you because we don't know what you're here for. And if you got a, you know, assault rifle, I don't even really need to ask you what you're here for because it looks like you're here to hurt somebody. And so now we got to, you know, we got to keep an eye on you. And you got to understand that coming in, that there's going to be hostility and you got to be ready to deal with it. And like he said, I mean, somebody could draw on you because of what you got, you know, or, you know, try to take your weapon or disarm you or something like that. I mean, if you by yourself, it'll be easier to do, but, you know, if you got a crew, yeah, I mean, you come in with some high-powered rifles, so, I mean, we got to try to, you know, we got to try to meet you with something like that. But if the whole idea is to bring awareness, I think there's a better way to do it. And I mean, you know, you're more than welcome to do what you do, but when you get met with that resistance, you gotta understand that that's why, because I mean, we see you coming in there. Me personally, if I came through there with an assault rifle, you know, we gonna think the same thing even with us. You know, I'm here to hurt somebody. So with you, it's even elevated. So I just figured I'd say that because it's important. If you want to bring awareness, there's, I don't know if I should say a better way to do it, but there's other ways to do it where it would be less volatile.
Just 1 second. So actually, this meeting is going to bring awareness, just based on, you know, we recording it, we're talking about it, we have real dialogue. So I think this is the basis of bringing awareness to the community, but we need to leave here understanding where we go from this meeting. That's really what I would like to see. Is are we going to agree to disagree and just go separate ways and then just educate the community through the video, the dialogue, and the different media that we're using, or are we going to come up with a plan to have some kind of commitment towards defending our community and also educating our community simultaneously? So that's one thing that's to be decided at this point. I can tell it's not going anywhere other than what we all believe and what we think. But the common thread in it is that we want to defend our community and we want to change our community. But then we need to understand from your perspective, you want to help educate the community. So there has to be, we have to be the vanguards of that education. And so this is the start of it. Just really.
Well, I think that if we're going to educate the community, we've done it before. That's what forums are for. That's what community brainstorming is for. That's why you have an LOC, you have a meeting where the community leaders can come together and then introduce somebody from the outside, if that's what we decide to do. I don't know if coming into the community in that way, you know, the black community, I don't know if do they educate Sherwood and Whitefish Bay in the same manner? You know, just coming in, bringing in guns, I don't think it's a good idea. And then Student Minister Williams said, you know, our community is suffering from self-hatred. You understand? So it has to be done in a certain type of way. We don't want to present a perception of some type of conflict. You understand what I'm saying? I understand recently that there was, you know, a senseless murder by an individual who had a concealed carry. He shot an innocent boy over a minor car accident. So, you know, these are things we have to keep in mind. You know, if we choose that to educate our people to their rights, it should be done in a forum. It should be done in a forum with you, Brother D, and with others. You know, just like we've always done. That's how we've always done.
I think it's important that we did start doing it because I think our brother needs to understand the perception. You really need to understand how you're perceived. What this brother said, I think is really critical. He said there are other ways. And I think that just moving forward, as Brother Nadeem said, it'd be good, if not in this meeting, certainly in another meeting where we discuss some of those other ways and work together. If you desire to work together to educate the community on concealed or open carry, some of those ways, then we can suggest it as well.
Yeah, well, I also noticed that you mentioned you wanted a true response from the police. And it sounded like maybe that might have been more of what you were trying to get, as opposed to coming into the neighborhood, educating people about open carry. So, you know, I mean, you can get that response from the police. I mean, I don't think I can walk around, I already know that, and you did say it depends on which cop comes to the scene. You know, but if I got an open carry, I got my, you know, assault rifle open, and I think that I'd be met with some major resistance from the police. And that's true to what we understand. You, I mean, that you got harassed by the police at all, I mean, kind of stuns me a little bit, because I didn't seen other videos where a guy walking in the neighborhood, and, you know, police officer gets out of the car and says, hey, how you doing, you know, what's going on, you know, he's talking to you. Show a black guy in that same scenario, he coming out with the heat, tell him to get down, put his gun down, and everything else. So, you know, it's all gonna depend. So if you're looking for a true response from the police, doing it in a black neighborhood where you're perceived as a threat, might not be the best way to do it, because a lot of people, like you said, we are armed. And if we see you coming there like that, we don't know what it is. And I think we probably wouldn't ask, just because of how heavily armed you are.
So do you plan on